Hey guys, what's up? Welcome again to Time the Programmer. In our last video, I literally introduced block level and inline and actually showed you how they actually differentiate between using either using anchor or you're basically using images. Okay, so now firstly, what we'll first do is we're going to clean up what we duplicated here to actually show you, and from there we'll clean this up. Okay, another thing we'll clean up yes for the trophy. Okay, now we have our page this way. Okay, so now I want you to actually take time to actually go through block level and inline level elements. It's very important for you to understand. So now another thing I want us to see in this video, it will be really brief, is like for the block level elements and the inline level, there are different way of styling. Okay, now let's check. We have our header here. Like the header is basically the parent and it does not contain all the other elements. So let's see, for our full mail we have our header. The header contains just this and this. Okay, so now we have our anchor tag here, right? So let's say for instance within our full mail.css, let's check for our anchor tag. Okay, let's say for this our anchor tag, right? I want us to actually check something, so I'll just give it a margin of 30 pixels. Okay, and 12 pixels top, bottom, left and right. All right, so that's for the full me page. Okay, let's actually see something. So now here for our anchor tag, right, we've given it a margin of 30 pixels, 12 pixels. Take a closer look at it. If you look here, right, it actually changes here. Okay, it changes here completely, but if you take note, if I like with this, nothing actually changes. Okay, but now if I add like maybe a left and right margin to it, okay, as I've done, if I say 0 pixels and we check for this, you see here the border is like the margin is 30, but now it has 0 pixels. All right, it does not actually apply. So you need to know that when you actually add like the top and bottom, the top and bottom margins for inline elements like this, it does not actually work. Okay, it will actually show here, but it will not actually reflect on the page. Another thing that you can notice, okay, let's say if let me just comment this out. All right, add the padding of, add the padding of 0 pixel. You see, it's the same thing that happens here. Like if you check the header which contains the h1, it actually disappears completely. Okay, you see, it disappears completely and actually creates a space. So basically, if I get here, if I get to, where is that actually written? If I come here within our description, right, let me just assume I'll remove this margin. You see here, it actually pushes to the top, right? So like as I've removed this I've removed this margin button, right, from this description. You see that our paragraph and this are our paragraph here, sorry, our paragraph here and this anchor tag, like they actually display one after another, right? Like they don't actually collapse on each other. So now, if for instance here within the description, I say instead of adding a margin bottom, I'm going to maybe let me add a margin, a padding bottom of 5 pixel, right? So they will basically be like the top and bottom of the padding, like it actually added. So adding that to the description, right? If you check here, sorry, if you see it has actually been added here, right, which actually moves the element downward. Okay, and now for this particular section, okay, now let's see for the paragraph here, it actually moves on its own. Okay, so now within the header and the h1, it loses all the stylings for like the margin, which is now applied, and it pushes the element upward. Okay, so now within this header, right, and these are paragraph. Okay, let's say where's the header, where we start the header and the paragraph, did we do that? Let's see. Okay, we didn't actually start let's see here. Okay, we didn't actually start a header and paragraph, so well, you can just leave it that way. But now for an anchor tag, right, you see, okay, at the end of the other video actually said you can either change like the root styling of an inline element, maybe given by display of block. Okay, so let's see what we can do here for this anchor. Within this, I think we'll have an anchor tag already, right? I'm just going to uncomment this. Sorry, just going to uncomment this. So now what we can do, let's try displaying inline. Okay, all right. So now if you look keenly, display inline has actually taken the whole section of the header, and for this section that's created more space between the top and the bottom. Okay, now provided that for our description we want to actually reset the margin, or we have a padding bottom of this. So I've resetted the margin. Now it moves actually closer to it. But now you see for our header, it occupies only the section above. Okay, like it does not take into consideration that all this is the header, because now it's on its own, like it's standalone. So now for this, that's because it's actually displayed as inline. Okay, let's provide the provided we display it as block. Let's see what happens. So now if we display a block, you see it leaves its original its default settings and follows our display of block settings. Okay, or better still, a better way you can actually do this is display inline block. So now it actually, if you over here, you see it affects like the distance of, does not actually affect the distance of other elements. Okay, So it's better that way. But now if you don't want it to affect like the distance of other elements, we can just increase maybe let's say the margin, rather than, let's see, you can increase, you can reduce the margin, and like the margin actually has an effect to the distance between these. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to explain. And another thing that you need to understand is what is called margin collapsing. Now you should know that from here you see that the top and bottom margins of blocks are sometimes combined into a single margin whose size is the largest, and it's known as margin collapsing. Note that margins of floating and absolute position elements never collapse. Okay, so that's one thing you should know. Like, talking about that, you discover that inline elements, right? Like inline elements as a whole, that's one special behavior they have. Okay, like for instance, if we look at H1, sorry, okay, let's go within our index. Our H1 element is yeah, how to cook. Alright, let's see. Within our H1 element, right? Let's see what like let's get shader CSS, right? I'm just going to remove this out. Let's say I give it a margin of 24 pixels, right? You see now within each H1 it has created like a space between it. Okay, so now it goes like from the top to the bottom, but it occupies just this header section. Okay, like it occupies just the element that is contained with this class. But now if I change it to something like 8 pixels and I check, okay, it includes, if you check here, it actually includes even the content of the page. So it actually takes into consideration, if you look very well there, you see 48, it takes 8 pixels. Then now it takes into consideration all the content within that particular section. It does not focus just on the header. Okay, you can see that for on the right side here. Okay, it spans across the whole page. Another thing is this margin collapsing thing, it only works for vertical margins. Like for horizontal margins it does not actually work. That's why you see, because for inline elements like this, you can't actually have like vertical images. So margin collapsing is very, very important. For instance, if you have like the whole header has a margin of like, let's say 48 pixels, it actually like, and the 48 pixels actually repeats throughout the page. It will be divided from the header to the contents of the main page. Okay, so that's very important to actually understand, and it mostly happens to these elements that are adjacent. Okay, so another thing I would like to introduce to you in this video is the principle of box shadow. Okay, now provided we have okay, we have our list element here, right? Now I'm just going to add like a shadow around that property, but now we'll be doing it from our tools, and later on we're going to transfer within our code. So now the box shadow property just gives like a shadow. So its its property is box shadow. Now the first thing that it takes into consideration is the offset along like the x-axis. Like you have the x, you have the x, you have the y-axis. Okay. So now maybe I can give it 5 pixels. Alright, and the next thing it actually takes into consideration is the offset along the y-axis. Okay, you can still give it 5 pixels. Alright, you see there is actually a change in the look. And the next thing is like the blur, which is the way in which that section is blurred out. So I can decide to give it 5 pixels again. Depends on how you want it to look. Then the last thing is the opacity. So I can use RGBA of 0, 0, 0. This 000 is basically the black tone that you actually see, which I feel like that's okay. And the last is maybe you can give 0.2. Depending on the type of opacity you want to give, you can increase 0.4 and so on and so forth. So that's just how it works. So now before we actually apply this box shadow property in our code, one thing I want us to is to actually clean our margin. Like the margin should not be, we should not write margin everywhere based on our understanding right now of how margin and padding actually work. So now it's preferable to actually add your margin in one particular place. It's not good to apply margin all across different pages and all. It makes it really redundant. Okay, so for H1 property, I think we can just reset the margin to 0. Okay, it doesn't really have any effect. Another thing I would like us to do, this is not necessary for now. Sorry, I'll just replace that. And another thing that is removed, I think I'll just leave this to 0 pixels. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, that looks better. And another thing, I think this description, let's see. Our description, I think it's within the style. Okay, our description 12 pixel. See if that actually applies. Descriptions with display of block. Okay, wait, I don't think this actually applies. Okay. The description does not actually apply. So I share CSS hashtag description. A full HTML will have this. Okay. This session ID or description, I don't think it actually applies here, so I'm going to remove it. I'll cut it out, put it within our full mail. Okay, we have H1, H2. Before the list, put description here. Let's see. Okay, now it applies. Okay, margin top of 36 pixel for the description. All right, another thing I would like to add, I think our margins look better that way now. I think our page has a particular feeling that is actually good. One other thing I would like to remove is this on our list. Okay, the highlighting of goal, I'm going to remove that. Let's see, it's no more highlighted. Highlight goal, I'm just going to remove this. Sorry, I'm just going to do that together at once. Okay, and remove this completely. All right, so that's this for this video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video where we're going to refurbish we're going to refurbish this landing page, like maybe talking to some more concepts to actually make this look better. Okay, so bye bye for now. See you in the next video.